My name is Frank Friedman. We're here today for the Legal History Project of the Nashville Bar Association. And our subject today is Mr. Gene Ward. I first encountered Mr. Ward somewhere around 1973 when I was a law clerk in the Chancery Court. And he was the general counsel for the Public Service Commission. Okay. First of all, for this interview, would you state your name, please, sir?
Eugene W. Ward.
And where and when were you born?
White Pine, Jefferson County, Tennessee.
And that's White Pine, not
White Pine, one word.
You only had one pine.
That's right.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your early childhood, your rearing, and so forth.
Well, I was orphaned at age 6. My grandmother raised us. It was during the Great Depression, so you can imagine what kind of a lifestyle we had. We thought everybody like we were, poor. We were so poor. One year they gave me a middle name for Christmas.
Okay, so but y'all managed.
We managed. I managed, yeah.
And you say your grandmother raised you?
Yes.
Can you tell us what was her name?
Kate Maddox. M-A-D-D-O-X.
Okay, tell us a little bit about her.
She's rough. I mean, hey, she's a rough old gal. Had to be. I saw her one time. We had this rabid dog coming up in the yard. She picked up his 12-gauge shotgun, put it on her arm, and shot that dog. So she's tough. She had to be at that age, to raise us.
She kept you fed. She kept you fed and kept you pretty much on the straight and narrow.
Oh yeah, Had a razor strap. Had to keep you on the straight and narrow.
Okay, so you went to elementary school, high school in White Pine.
Yeah, and I was the president senior class. And all the presidents of the class have been girls, so we nominated 3 girls and me. So I divided the vote and won.
So that was your first foray into politics.
Yeah, that's right. Not the last one, but the first one.
Okay, now let's go back to elementary school. Tell us about when you first went to elementary school and what happened.
Well, I didn't. I had to lay out the first year because I was too sick, So then they sent my brother with me, and he got in a fight every day for 30 straight days. They said, if he comes back tomorrow, we're whipping you too. So I went home crying about that, but he finally did. So we ended up in the same class and graduated together.
Okay, how many people were you in how many people were in your class?
26.
26.
Yeah.
And you were you were pretty decent athlete in your day, were you not?
Yes, I was a basketball player and football player. Of course, I was 6'4" and weighed 140 pounds, so I was quite a spectacle on the football field. And there's 6 of us how that class still alive, 3 boys and 3 girls. I went to see one of the surviving girls Saturday whenever we were in East Tennessee, Hollywood.
Okay, and where did you go to high school?
White Pine High School.
So White Pine had high school, had an elementary school and a high school.
Yes, and I made the commencement address up there in 1970. Of course, they closed it shortly thereafter. I don't know if I had anything to do with that or not, but they closed it. They consolidated White Pine, Dandridge, Jefferson City, and Roy Strong all into one high school, Jefferson County High.
So one high school.
Yeah.
Okay, and tell us about some of your athletic.
Well,
some of the highlights of your athletic career.
There weren't many of them. I tell a lot of them. We didn't win the football game. We won the fight to follow it. One time we was playing in Newport. They came to White Pine. We hadn't even started school. They said, we'll give you $125. Come here and play some football over here at County, Newport. So Lord, we did it. We took off. We had Carson Newman gave us our old uniform, so you can imagine how a 300-pounder uniform fit on a 140-pounder. Had to do a lot of taping, keeping pants on. And so we went up there and we played at the baseball field. And they dressed in the stands there. So we come out, and this old boy, two old boys standing there, one old boy come out with a big pistol saying, we'll shoot the first so-and-so makes a touchdown. Well, the score was 48-0. We knew what was going on. Them old boy, they were rough in Newport.
You don't want to mess with the Newport boys.
That's right.
Okay. So you graduated high school in what year?
1952.
And from there you went to college.
Yeah, I went to Lincoln Memorial University. Didn't have much choice because that's the only college in the world I could find that I could work my way through.
How did you end up there?
Well, Miss Locksmith, this history teacher, came to White Pine recruiting everybody. So I got a application from her. And then I saw on heard on the radio where LMU used to play University of Tennessee in basketball. And they talked about Jesse Stewart, and how the people worked their way through and everything about the college. So I applied and I was accepted. And before school started, about 3 or 4 weeks before school started, they got a letter that said, we need you here now. Because I was working in a dairy, and I knew how to pasteurize a ball of milk. Well, they had a 1,000-acre farm there, their own dairy, supplied the town of Harrogate with milk. And so the guy running the dairy quit. So they said, we'll give you $250. Come on now. So I went. I got up there on a Sunday afternoon, went down to the dining hall. Must have been 8 or 10 of us there then because school hadn't even started, and had bologna sandwich and potato chips. I said, oh Lord, what have I got myself into? I could eat this at home.
But you stuck it out.
I stuck it out. I stayed till Thanksgiving. Never did go home till Thanksgiving. And back then you could hitchhike, thumb your way. People pick you up. So one Sunday afternoon, Dale Campbell and I coming back from White Pine in Newport. He lived in Newport. Excuse me. And we got to Tazewell, 12 miles from the school. We were there something like this. Everybody went by. Finally, this old boy went by in a big Cadillac going up that hill there. Old Dale Campbell did this. Said, to hell with you. Old boy put on his brakes, started backing up. I said, uh-oh, we're going to get our butts kicked now. The old boy backed up and said, y'all say LMU? Yeah, get in. So we got in.
So you made it back to school that
Yeah,
day.
made it back to school.
Okay, now I believe you worked, when you went to school, they didn't have student loans back then, did they?
No, Lord, no. We had to go to work. If I needed money, I had to go to the business office and get it. I had to go there one time to get a dime. Because in the summer, one summer, that old Freddie Fagan, a baseball player, assigned to help me at the dairy. Had to get up 3 o'clock in the morning to go round those cows up, milk 50 cows before breakfast. And you had to do it in the afternoon too, And old Freddie couldn't wake up, couldn't get up. So he lived in DAR up on the hill. Grant Lee up on the hill, and I live in DAR down the bottom there. And then outside of his room was a payphone. Outside of my room was a payphone. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd dial that number. He heard the phone ring, he'd turn the light on, I'd hang up the phone, get my dime back. Well, one Sunday morning, some drunk coming in Middlesboro, Kentucky, answered the phone, took my dime. So I had to go to the business office next day and get me a dime.
Another dime.
And them old boys used to come down to breakfast, they'd be hanging there. And then some so-and-so calls up here at 3 o'clock every morning. I never did say a word, but I ended up being the assistant dietitian because I started out up there carrying silverware. They call it. You carried the silverware from where they dumped it in there to the dishwasher and everything. That's what I started out. Well, in 3 weeks, I was assistant waiter, assistant dietitian. I was boss over 30 kids that waited tables. We had 10 people to a table. One of them was a waitress, waited on them. And we had milk in a big old galvanized container, like that. And so I ended up being there. In fact, my senior year, the head of it retired, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, had this other fellow come in, and heck, he didn't know nothing about it. So I wrote the menus and everything like they did before, I just kept turning them over. We'd feed 500 people at lunch and get them back in class at 1 o'clock, or 12, 11:30 or 12. It was something. And every year, I'd go up to the business office and pick out the people wanting to work, So I'd beat old Rudy Clark, he's a librarian. He'd always complain about, you get up here first, you pick all the pretty girls away from the I want to work in the dining room. I don't get them to work in the library. And he's right, I did. I had 3 or 4 of the cheerleaders working in the dining room.
So it's like I said, the early bird gets the worm.
That's right, that's right.
Okay, and you were pretty much, you ran the dining hall.
Yeah, I used to have to, when I first started out, I had to say it blessed. I had 2 dining rooms. One was the seniors and the faculty, and the other was everybody else. So I'd say one in this dining room, go back and say another blessing in another dining room. So I finally got them hooked up, and I'd say both of them at once. So I've said as many as 8 prayers a day because we had those 2 dining rooms, that's 6 of them. And then we fed the visiting and the home basketball and baseball team before and after the game. So I did it 8 times some days. Same one.
Did you, as the manager of the dining hall, did you eat with the rest of the students, or were you on?
No, I ate back in the back. I ate the country ham and the eggs and everything like that. The rest of them eat oatmeal and grits out front, out in the dining hall. Yeah, I have made.
And one time there was a young man at the table sort of got carried away with the oatmeal.
Oh yeah, he reached it. The old boy from Chatsworth, Georgia. They used to have a lot of people there from Chatsworth, Georgia, because the principal of school down there graduated from LMU. So we had this big bowl of oatmeal, this big can of milk. So the old boy, he reached and got the oatmeal, blew it over and poured the milk on it. Fired in and said, well, didn't none of the rest of you get anything? Well, people about to kill him. And one time I started out to, there's a door here, you go around this way and come back into the kitchen from the dining hall. So I started saying my blessing. I come out this door, end up, amen, going back to the kitchen. Well, about the time I got halfway back there, I saw these old boys like his getting ready to, had pork chops. They was getting ready to get into it, And I said, Lord, help these heathens. Wait till I ask this prayer before they serve themselves and went on.
Okay. Now, when you went off, when you first started going, when you went to college, did you have in mind to be a lawyer?
Yes.
What sparked your interest in the law?
Well, Bryce Wisecarver, Jefferson City, came to White Pine City Court there and tried the case. And I went to see that, and I heard him. I was about 12 or 13 years old. I made up my mind I was going to be a lawyer. I never told anybody in case I failed, But talking about LMU, they paid 50 cents an hour, 45 cents an hour. When I became assistant dietitian, I got a nickel raise, 50 cents an hour. Everybody else 45. And When I left there, they paid me $448. I'd worked out over that if I was no car, paid all my tuition, all my board, all my spending money and everything. And they paid me $448. That's pretty good in 1956.
Yeah, it sure was. So you graduated LMU in what year?
1956, I graduated cum laude. Worked them 2 jobs there doing that too. Of course, there wasn't much to do on that campus. You're 6 miles from Middleburg, Kentucky. And that was it.
Okay. And from there you went to law school at the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, I had a scholarship, first year scholarship. And I went to UT and I drove from White Pine. And I never could get out of it. Always had Saturday class. 6 days a week, I drove about 35 miles one way and back. 3 years.
So you lived in White Pine when you drove to Knoxville every day.
Yeah.
Now, I seem to recall that before you started law school, you taught a little school, did you not?
Oh, yeah. There in White Pine, that was about 3 weeks before I went to law school. They wanted me to stay on there and teach, and I taught civics and something and coached girls basketball. I did that after I went on to school, taught girls basketball, and they wanted me to do that, but I said, no, I got a scholarship and I'm going. So I went.
So you went off to law school.
Yeah, we had quite a character, quite a class there. Was Creed Daniels and Blackstock, played football for UT, and boy, he used to play football in Detroit Lions. He was from Greenville. Bill Bowman, he was in that class. Little Ray Jenkins, Irvin's son, named after Big Ray. Everybody knows anything about congressional matters knows Ray Jenkins. He's one of the best lawyers in Knoxville.
And when you were in law school, were there any professors there that you drew particular knowledge from, inspiration?
Oh yeah, Colonel Warner, he wasn't the dean, but everybody respected him more than anybody. He asked me one time, Warren said, what about this case? I believe it's Smith versus Smith. I said, never heard of it. He said, low blow, low blow. I said, oh, that's one about tenants, if it's not specified as 30-day, term. If the term's up, they don't have specified 30 days.
30-day notice.
Yeah, that was it. And McPherson, Frierson was the librarian, and he taught bibliography or something. And he said, all right, look at the one on your right, left, look at the one on your right, and in this class, there won't be but one of you be here, 2 of you be gone. And he was right. 55 of us started and 15 of us graduated.
Where did you rank in your class in law school?
I don't know. I think about middle ways. They say the A student makes the judges, the teachers, the B student makes the judges, C student makes the good lawyers. That's about right because of common sense. And the best trial, somebody's argument I ever heard the jury was in Morristown. Frank Davis, the mayor of Morristown, he didn't practice. He didn't prepare much. He just get in there and try it. So that was before discovery and everything like that. Trial by ambush, Well, the best summation arguments jury I ever heard was this: ladies and gentlemen of the jury that has practiced law and nothing but just plain old common sense. That fellow there ran over my client right here, and he should pay for it. And sat down and won the case.
And tell me this: when you were in law school, did they have a legal clinic back then?
Yes, and I took a legal clinic, and I had the most popular case there. Cause, we'd prepared a case and had a lawyer uptown. I can't remember his name. Nice fellow. He went to court. We went to court and sat with him, try. Well, this girl come in wanting a divorce. So they signed her to me. So I got talking to her. I said, well, what does your husband do? What are your grounds for it? I can't tell you. I said, you got to tell me. I said, where is your husband? He's in Knox County Jail. I said, what's he in there for? I can't tell you. I said, well, I'll be back. So I stepped out, room went called the sheriff's office, and the DA spoke to them. Well, he was in there having intercourse with a cow. Well, I went back in. I said, lady, you don't have no problem getting a divorce. You're going to get your divorce.
Got the divorce.
Yeah.
And back then, did they have, do you have any summer jobs when you were in law school, any clerkships?
No, I sold insurance for Rudy Clark Insurance and Harrogate, or the one that I beat about getting the waitresses. He took care of me. I brokered it all through him. Yeah, no, I worked summer, odd jobs, stuff like that.
Basically had to work to eat.
Sure did, sure did. Didn't eat, you didn't work, you didn't eat.
Were clerkships common back then, or just?
Not much. I never heard of nobody doing their class.
What wasn't in vogue back then?
Oh, Ray Jenkins was in there. Bill Jenkins, little Ray too, Bill, went to TVA later, congressman in the first district. He was in there. Me and him was eating them bologna sandwiches and drinking them knee-high oranges, because that's all we could afford. The rest of them going across the street to Ellis and Ernest drugstore eating. And old Frank Slaughter from Bristol driving that big Chrysler Imperial.
Okay, so you finished law school in what year?
1959.
And I believe you opened up an office in Morristown, is that correct?
Yes.
What kind of cases did you have?
Well, the first case I had, the doctor from White Pine Clinic sent me a workers' comp case. I had those. And then Reed and Noy attorney firm right across the street from me, they gave me a lot of pro bono cases that they had, Garden had a lot of cases, they gave me a lot of that work, a lot of stuff like that, had adoption or two, things like that.
And what was your first big break?
Well, Hub Walters called one day and said, you want a job in the state? I said, Nashville. I said, Attorney General's office? He said, no, at Hammond, Fowler and that crowd. I said, well, I've heard of Hammond, Fowler and that crowd. Who are they? He said, Railroad and Public Utilities Commission. I said, yeah, I'll go. Said, well, they wanted you to come to Nashville to be interviewed. I said, okay, I'll go. I may have had plans to come down here and stay about 2 years. So they set it up. I got a call one day and he said, this is Hammond Fowler. I am calling from the capital of the state of Tennessee. I am going to be heading off for Due East in a few minutes, and I'll call you when I arrive in Knoxville. So he called in Knoxville, said, I've geographically changed my location 200 miles to the east, and I'm on my way to Morristown. Well, at about 5:30, I was getting ready to go home. I said, I'm going to stick around and see this. Hammond could talk for 5 minutes without getting his breath. He was a character. He was an orator. Yeah. And so I came down here and interviewed me, and I went back and they kept calling. Well, you made up your mind? I said, no. Mr. Walter's on vacation, and said, I want to talk to him. Well, okay. They weren't going to give it to nobody else, because Hub Walters did it, and Hub Walters wanted to send David Pack down here as Attorney General, and also sent George McCandless down here as Attorney General. And then he ended up sending me.
Let me back up a second.
Right.
I seem to recall when you when you first had your law practice, I seem to recall you sued the city of White Pine.
Oh, yeah, I did. They wanted me to draw up an ordinance, make the train slow down, so I drew up this ordinance, did all this research. Did it, sent them a bill and $50, they wouldn't pay it. So I sued the city of White Pine, best thing I ever did. Cause everybody said, oh, that Ward said, he's tough, he sued the city, you know. I got Franklin Park to represent me, you know. Old Franklin was a big criminal lawyer in Jefferson City, the meanest, nice lawyer you ever seen in your life, you know. So we beat them and they paid me, but I sued their butt.
Okay. Okay, so you're in Nashville, you're waiting for Mr. Walters.
Yeah.
And you eventually took the job.
Yeah, I came to Nashville.
And what year was that?
1961. I came on July the 5th because the 4th was on a Monday. And they said, well, don't come on the 1st, just come on the 4th. I said, okay. So I got down here. John Hammer, Casey Pentecost, and Hammond Fowler were the three commissioners. And John Hammer, you know, he was a Southern gentleman, you know. He never would campaign. We'd all have to go out and campaign for him, you know. His campaign was getting over in this corner of a lobby of a big hotel, smoking a cigar and watching people come and go. The rest of us out handing out flowers and stuff like that. And Casey Pentecost, you know, he was friend of the governor, you know, Governor Clements, you know. And Hammond Fowler, he's appointed in 1948, and he was a reporter at the old monkey trial in Dayton, Tennessee in 1925. So I heard a lot about that too. And Hammond could talk for 5 minutes without getting his breath. Somebody asked him one time, said, Mr. Fowler said, who are these utility district transferable to? He clicked his heels together and did this, Jesus Christ and him on under extreme provocation.
And so you started with, was it the Public Service Commission?
Yes, they changed the name in 1955. And George Shuff was my boss. And he is from Ripley, Tennessee. And I know it's a good job because first week I was there Friday afternoon at 2:00, said, come in the office, said, Ward, aren't you going east today? I said, yeah. So when you leave, I don't know, about 4:30, get off. I said, go ahead, just don't run over anybody before 4:30.
So you went home every weekend, even when you were working, you went home every weekend?
Yeah, tried the cases up there. And
so you still had a law practice back east?
I was winding it up, you know, and so the story is Commissioner Pentecost came in there and short Shuff said, where's that Ward fellow? Said, oh, he's gone to the Supreme Court library. Oh, Pentecost, oh, Shuff said, don't hand me that crap. Said, that Ward said, he'd been here 1 week and he learned it already. It took you 6 months to learn that.
That story's been told many a time by many a state lawyer.
Is that right?
Yes, I was with administrative procedures in about 1977, 78, 79. And yeah, that was, you know, if you wanted to leave early, you can go to the Supreme Court library.
That's right.
You know, nobody wanted to, you know, fine, go to the Supreme Court library.
That's right.
That's, you know.
That's right.
So,
Because didn't have any big libraries back then, you know.
Now you don't need libraries anymore.
Oh,
Now it's all online.
yeah.
You want something, type it in and research just pops out at you.
That's right.
So when you went to the Public Service Commission, who was the general counsel at the time?
George Shuff. And my first duty they appointed me was to revise the rules and regulations and put them in one book. And I had to do all that research, read all that law and everything. That's the best thing they ever did for me. Because I got to know about the commission.
Okay, and where did you put all these rules and regulations in one place? Where did you get the information from?
From the orders of the commission that they've issued in the past, and also they had some already, you know, different areas like utilities, and they had the procedure rules there Frank Clement had written, because Frank Clement was general counsel there from 1952 to 1946 to 1950, I believe. And he wrote that. In fact, that was the first real forerunner of Uniform Administrative Procedures Act, because we had administrative judges, we called them, before the state ever adopted the Uniform Administrative Procedures Act.
Okay, and when you were at the Public Service Commission, I imagine there was a lot of politicking going on.
Oh, Lord, yes. We had a commissioner run for re-election every 2 years in a statewide race. So I was involved in every 2 years, 1958 to 1980, in a statewide race. 1958, I was Orville's campaign manager for governor in Jefferson County. Of course, he got about 10 votes out of that big Republican county. And then I was Estes Keefe officer in 1960. And then we had all these commissioners running. And I ran in 1980. And Jane Askin, she got all this stock out of me. Pearl, she had all the money and I had all the knowledge. She got them elected. She won the election.
Okay, and I presume that when you were at the Public Service Commission, you dealt with the legislature on a regular basis.
I forgot to turn that telephone off. That's no potential calling. I get all these calls for potential. Man, my wife's getting a little jealous of her calling all the time. So, and about what did you ask me now?
When you were at the Public Service Commission, you dealt, I presume you were somewhat of a lobbyist for the commission, for the legislature.
That's right. 1963, I came here in 61. Legislature already met. They met every 2 years then. So in 63, they sent me up there. I didn't know what in the world they're doing, but they had old Joe Cook, Bell Telephone Company. He's a lobbyist for them, so he sort of took care of me. And after him was Warwick Robertson. No, not Warwick Robertson's daddy. What was his name? Oh gosh, I can't think of it. But and they met every 2 years then, and they didn't have an office. You had to catch them at the Hermitage or the Andrew Jackson Hotel one, and or anywhere you could. But they didn't have an office, they didn't have a secretary, they didn't have a staff or anything. And now look at them. Look all over the Cordell Hall building.
Were we better off when they met every other year? Are we better off now that they meet once a year?
I think I meet once every 5 years.
Once every 5 years.
Yeah.
I said the circus is in town.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Somebody said, no man's wife, life, or property is safe while the legislature is in session. That's about right. But whenever I was at the Public Service Commission, we had a reputation all across the United States being the lead commission, And so everybody that had anything that associated us or tried to get us to join in, make us career or something. So as an opportunity I had in 1966, the city of Chicago wanted us to intervene in this railroad passenger train discontinued. And we did, and it went to the Supreme Court of the United States. So I was licensed and practiced for the Supreme Court of the United States since 1966.
Did you ever have an opportunity to go back after that?
No, never did.
One shot.
Gave it my best, but we lost.
Okay. And while you were at the Public Service Commission, were you instrumental in drafting any laws that were passed for the state?
Yes, I drafted a law there that permitted the motor carrier inspectors to carry firearms. I drafted that one, but the best one was in Jim Beaumont, the Underground Utility Prevention Act, or Call Before You Dig Act. we drafted that, and I got Ed Blank in the Senate and Tommy, oh no, well, a boy from Jamestown, Tommy, okay, Burnett, yeah, Burnett, to handle it in the House, and they're the most two effective legislators at that time. You know, even though Tommy went to jail later, he won the election while he was in jail. And he was a good fellow, both of them was. Ed died too young.
So then this is the law, this is like the law that you have to call before you dig.
That's right. And so one night I went home and my lights were out. I waited about an hour, I called in, that's when I was working for NES. So I called, I said, hey boys, get my lights on, what's wrong? Well, some old boy run over a pole, broke a pole off, we gotta set a new pole. And said, you know, said, we gotta wait till they come out here and mark where we gotta dig because, you know, you wrote that law. I said, yeah, now I know how it feels to get bit in the ass by your own dog.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, for the best of us.
Okay, and what else notable happened during your career with the Public Service Commission?
Well, I was instrumental in the legislation adopting the Uniform Administrative Procedures Act, and its policy is what we had at the Public Service Commission that Frank Clement wrote years ago. They just added a little more to it, discovery and stuff like that. But, and those are the main two. I'm in the legislative history. Get that book out, I'm all in there. Talking about it. And, that's NES, we'll cover that in NES.
Okay, and so you were at the Public Service Commission till 1980?
1980, yeah.
And that's when you ran for commissioner.
Yeah, that was a hot summer.
And that's when you ran for commissioner and didn't get it.
Didn't get it, so Ted Pappas called me about 2 or 3 weeks before the election. Said there's opening at NES, and Hicks Clark called me, there's opening at NES. Said, do you want to hold that open to see how this election comes out? I said, I can tell you how this election coming out right now. I said, yeah, tell them to hold it open. So they did, and I went to NES and had to take it to physical, you know. So they called in, oh, Ward's blood pressure is high. So Bill Beard, the personnel manager, run up to Harry Mitwid, the general counsel of NES, said, hey, he's got high blood pressure. Mitwid said, I want to have a lawyer that didn't have a little high blood pressure. That's a trait they got to have, you know, so I got the job in 1980, October the 1st.
Okay, and you worked, and who was general counsel when you first went?
Mitwid.
Okay. And what kind of work did you do there?
Well, I started out representing the NES for the General Sessions Court, stuff like that, because at the Public Service Commission, all of our cases went for the Chancery Court, and Nashville Electric Service as part of the city, you know, and their cases went to the Circuit Court and General Sessions. And you know, the official name of Nashville Electric Service is the Electric Power Board of the Metropolitan Government, acted by and through the Electric Power Board of said government, and operating under a service named Nashville Electric Service.
A public utility.
Public utility, the 11th largest in the United States.
Okay, and while we're talking about public utilities, I believe there was a case one time that one of the newspapers wanted, under the Open Records Act, wanted a copious amount of information.
What's the name, address, and telephone number of every customer we had? No, 2 or 300,000 of them. So we refused, and so Hal was it? Al and I took us to court, you know, so we won. I mean, we lost in the Chancery Court, We appealed it. And so what it ended up being, we said, okay, we don't have such a record. We'll have to create one. And to do that, we got to set up new software and everything. And also, we're under a duty and obligation to notify all our customers, $89,000 it's gonna cost them, so, oh no. So went to the Supreme Court. They tried that in Shelbyville, because that was there, the Supreme Court was moving around so people could see how the Supreme Court operated. Well, we ended up there and said, they have to pay us for paying up this new list that we do not have, but they do not have to pay us that $81,000 for the notifying our customers, but they do have to pay us for $8,000 to set up the program. And you know what? They never did ask. That was the end of that case. That was it. After all that.
And was it the Banner that was asking for the information?
The Tennessean.
Tennessean was asking for
Yeah.
that. Okay. And
the big, one of the other arguments we made in this case was, well, since we're a governmental entity, we come under the Open Records Act. Yeah, Public Records Act. And these people right across the street gets their electricity from Middle Tennessee Electric Co-op. They do not have to disclose that because they're not a governmental entity. Neither should we. Court didn't buy that.
okay. And when you eventually became general counsel?
Yes, in 1966, I became general counsel.
That's PSC.
Oh, yeah, the PSC, yeah.
And when did you become general counsel of
1986.
1986.
Yeah.
So the first 6 years you worked with was it Harry Mitwitty?
Yeah, Harry Mitwitty. Oh, and Harry was a character. He's an all-city football player. Went to Cincinnati as quarterback. And he told me, he said, Ward, said, don't stipulate a thing. Make them prove everything. Make them prove what day of the week it is. Mitwitty was a tough old dude. He's a little bitty fellow, but he was tough.
It's like they say, if they ask you, do you know what day it is? You say, yes, I do.
There you are. That's right.
Okay. So you became general counsel for NES in 1986.
Yes.
And I would imagine over the year, and you were there until 2010.
Yes.
So you were with NES for 30 years.
Yeah.
Now imagine over the 30 years, there was a lot of mundane legal matters, but I imagine there was several fairly interesting cases.
Yes. We had a bunch of them. One year we got sued almost twice a week. I had 105 cases active at one time.
And I presume you farmed a lot of these cases out to a lot of different lawyers.
Yeah, I used to tell people we got half the lawyers in Nashville sued me, the other half defended me. No, we had about 10 law firms. We did their specialty, like Brewery Krause, I did EEOC matters, things like that. And Dewey Bradstetter, a bunch of them did workers' comp, personal injury. And the very biggest we had was Neal and Harwell, the NASCAR Cafe case.
Tell us, but that was a pretty interesting case. Tell us about that NASCAR Cafe case.
All that. Well, they're fixing to open the NASCAR Cafe. So up front there, where all those grates are, is a big transformer under there. So we got ready to energize it. Fellas over here ready to do it. The guy here said, energize it. He energized it, and it blew up. And it killed one fella. He was there painting, and it injured severely a couple from Seattle is going to the Grand Ole Opry because we know because about one of their shoes there and the tickets to the Grand Ole Opry. in that case, and that was on October 27, 1997. They called me down there and said, I said, well, is anybody doing anything about the gas lines right here? No. I said, okay, it's us then, So we got to investigating it. And what happened, we had 10 of these transformers still sitting on our yards, had them there for years, had 3 compartments in it. And most transformers just had 2 compartments for oil, to cool the transformer down. And this one had 3, been sitting there for years. They took it down there, put it in this new business, and it had water in it. And electricity and water don't mix. So that's what happened. It blew up. And I got calls from all over the United States about this, what kind of transformer was it? Got a call as far away as, how are you? They had some of them. And we got to investigating, and we had 3 or 4 in service on our system. Man, we got those things cracked real fast. But that people, we flew their family down here, got them a hotel room, took care of them, and gave them, set them up so they could perform their business from their hotel room, gave them computers, I don't know what all. And they got Houston Gordon, Houston, he's one of the most outstanding lawyers, plaintiff lawyers in the state. So Houston sued us, went to Chancery Court. Houston took a position that the Governmental Tort Liability Act that had the limits on it was unconstitutional. Well, I got, the board said, do something. So heck, I said, we need to help on this, people. So I got Neil and Harwell. He brought Jerry, Aubrey brought Jerry Neenan up there. I was looking at Jerry Neenan. Lord, Aubrey's running a geek in here on me. But since I found out that Jerry entire fraternity in law and school all got drunk and jumped out of the 2nd-story window, I said, he's all right, he's one of us. And he turned out to be one of the most brilliant lawyers I ever met in my life. And so we won it for Judge Haynes. So they appealed it. And they was wearing us out in the press. The mayor even called us down to his office. I want you to pay these people. I said, Mayor, told me and the board. I said, Mayor, we'd like to, but if this board pays these people in excess of what the governmental liability law says, it's a law, they'll be guilty of misappropriating public funds. We don't have the authority to do it. So the board kept saying, you got to do something. They're wiring us out, and they were. Every newspaper, every TV was just wiring us out. So me and Jerry Neenan, we got to thinking, so I drew up this law. It said this, I remember. If an accident occurs on October 27, 1997, an electric utility can pay in excess of the Governmental Tort Liability Act. And second section provided, however, that this law terminates the next day. So the one-day legislature rule that permitted us to do it. So we ended up paying those people $2 million instead of $750,000 or so. And funny thing, gave them that law, and they said, well, we don't know how to get this introduced. So I had to go up and help them get the bill introduced in the legislature. And not only that, I had to go up, they called me as a witness. I had to get up on the stand before the committee and say, yes, we want you to pass this law. They said, do you realize you got to pay more than that? Yes, we want you to pass it. You finally got it passed, but that's what happened on that case. And that was something, man. That was known as a NASCAR Cafe case.
Okay, and I would imagine you were involved with environmental cases.
Oh, yes, we had the case of, and one in St. Joseph, where was that? In Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas. Man, we was in that, finally got out of that one. But one day I got this letter, but EPA said, you owe us $17 million for the sad side out here on Trousdale, where they've been picking up used oil that contained PCBs, So Lord, I said, gosh, this is terrible. They want me to pay the whole amount. I said, they collected it from everybody. So I got John Sad in, the son. And I got him in the library, and we sat down with a phone book. I said, here's the business, here's the business. Yellow page it. Now go through there and tell me who all you picked up oil from. So he come up with over 100 people, And so I interpleaded that for the EPA, and my part of the pie came down 17 million to about 500,000. But boy, there's some old boys, some lawyers and people in this town mad at me, But I represent my client well. I got their part of the pie cut down, way down.
And see, then there was I think that you wanted one time you wanted to build a substation in Oak Hill, I believe.
Oh, yes. Oak Hill says, you can't do it. We're not giving you permission. There'll never be an electric substation in Oak Hill. So our engineers, they settled on the side out there where old Shaw's house used to be, there to the corner of Hillsborough Road and Old Hickory Boulevard, I believe it is. And so it was owned by the
by the Mormon church.
Mormon church, yeah. So I called the Mormon church. I got a hold of their lawyer. I said, hey, we're going to buy this land. They said, well, we'll sell it. Said, we've been trying 10 years to build a tabernacle there. We never could get it passed, the city council and Supreme Court of Tennessee. So I said, I tell you what, you tell me how much you want for it, and I'll pay it into court like we're doing all these. And we'll have a friendly condemnation lawsuit, because I've got the right eminent domain, and if I condemn it, ain't nobody in the world can tell me what I can use it for. So that's what we did. And we built a substation there. And this lawyer said, oh, condemnation, you got more authority than Jesus Christ.
Okay. And while we're talking about Oak Hill, now when you also I guess when you were at the Public Service Commission, particularly, you had a small private practice.
Yeah, a lot of these old boys took off and chopped out corn and cut tobacco. And I had a little, so I'd take a day or two off, try a lawsuit if I wanted to. So I represent Webb Pierce, and let's see here, Baron Young, and Ernest Tubb, and Brazil, left to Brazil. But Webb had all these buses coming up out there, build a ramp, so they come out, look at his guitar-shaped swimming pool, and he's selling CDs and stuff like that to him, and so Oak Hill sued us, went to court, and we lost, Of course, they asked Webb on the stand, said, Webb said, what do you do with that money? He said, I used it at Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt. They said, why is that? He said this. He jumped off the stand, pulled up his britches, laid there, half his gas was gone, because so I wasn't able to walk 4 hours. 11 years old, the Children's Hospital helped me out. Well, that didn't win a lawsuit though. And so we lost it, but he had him, a lot of people coming up there and looking at that guitar-shaped swimming pool.
And what happened with the house after that?
He sold it, and I think the guys had a Opryland Hotel, and and the Grand Ole Opry. Colin Reed lives there now, I think. I think it's 22 rooms in that house, 11 upstairs and 11 downstairs. Big house. And you know, there's another guitar shape. It's like it around the corner where Tom Cole lived, across from where Minnie Pearl lived. He had one there, but he sold that and bought this big house and everything. It backed up to the governor's mansion. And I had to get the Webb Jr. sorted out of trouble. You know, one time he got out on his go-kart, he'd run all up and down through Oak Hills, you know, cutting through people's yards. The police, they called the police on him. Police got after him. He's cutting in through his yards, got home. They took him down to juvenile. And Webb said, Eugene, you gotta go get Webb Jr. out. So I did, got him out all of it.
Okay. Now back to your NES days. I presume you had dealings with the CSX Railroad and right of ways.
Oh, yeah. We wanted to put a line out here where ACA's new building, old building was, down through there, you know, where the Public Works Parks headquarters is down there, from Charlotte Avenue. And they said, you can't condemn railroad property. We said, we can. We got our higher public use went before Barbara Haynes, you know. And the guy from CSX testified while they get there, said they could mess up every signal from Nashville to Jacksonville on the railroad. But we won it, so them great big poles are there.
Now, is that when you had Trey Harwell with you?
Yeah, Trey, yeah, and Jerry Neenan, yeah.
Is that when Judge Haynes questioned Trey's age and
No, that was Judge Solomon.
Oh, that was Carol Solomon.
Yeah. He said he had a motion there. He got an argument motion. I was sitting there. She looked at it and said, Mr. Ward, said he, you're a lawyer? I said, yes, ma'am. He's too young to be a lawyer. They said, well, he's too good looking to be a lawyer. You know, old Trey's face was turning red. I kept hanging it on. That was funny.
Okay. And let's see, we had let's see, we mentioned it, you had the case, the liability of the NES with the homeowner and the tree line.
Oh, yeah, up in Hendersonville. We had this problem is people's life kept going out, you know. So the trees was in the line. And there was 12 trees up that driveway. And so we went out there and said, we gotta trim these trees, you know, they're in a line. This lady said, go ahead, you can cut them down if you want to, because we bought this in 1954. My husband sent those trees out. Well, we cut the trees down. Oh, Lord. That afternoon, we got all these phone calls from this guy cussing, raising hell, I don't know what all. You cut my trees down? I said, what do you mean your trees? He said, I bought that and I own that. I bought that driveway right next to that and I bought that tree line. I said, oh, Lord. He said, I won a case just like this in North Carolina and I'm suing you. I said, well, of course, the hell court's always open, so take your choice. So he sued us and we had a big trial in Gallatin over it. And the chancellor, we proved that when those trees needed to be cut down because of the interfering with the service, you know. And the judge held for us. And Dewey Branch said he tried that. That was something. That old boy, man, that was the maddest fellow I've ever seen in my life. We had one case, me and Trey did. We put this line down way out here off of McCrory Lane, way back up there on top of a hill. We put a new line in, we put it across the street from this guy that lived there. He's a doctor. And he raised hell. He sued us for interfering with his line, his site of overlooking knife. And so we went around, we weren't going to pay him a penny, you know, because heck with it. no cause of action like that. And finally, we said, okay, we'll give you $2,500 to get rid of it. So he came to the office one day, get his $2,500. He signed the release. I handed him a $2,500 check. He threw it back at me and said, I don't want your so-and-so money and keep it. So we kept his money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as I recall, at some point in your career with the Indians, if the power went out, sometimes you had phone duty.
Oh, yeah, they signed me. We had the tornado and the ice storm. You know, the ice storm, worst thing you can have, because you put that line up, you go down the block and it's down again because that ice just keeps accumulating, it keeps breaking the line down. So they didn't let me out in the field work because they afraid I'd electrocute everybody. So they said, you go upstairs, you answer the phone. So I did. So they gave me all the rough ones, you know. So everybody calling in, you know, our old boy called in and said, what are you doing sitting there on your ice while my lights are out? I said, yeah, I'm sitting here on my ice while your lights are out, and my lights are out too. What the hell you gonna do about that? Well. So and the offering girls are, you can't say that. You can't say that. I did. Got rid of him.
Yep. And I believe there was a case one time. I think somebody's line was down or something like that, and they sent the workmen out and they stopped for breakfast.
Oh yeah, that was out on Young's Lane, out here across the river. That's a case where, oh God, that's where I learned my lesson about getting the guy from Vanderbilt as my expert. What was his name? And what happened, this line was in this tree on the service truck going to the house and set the house on fire, big house. Not only that, it run across the water line and burnt another house up. So burned down two houses. So back then, you know, you didn't have all these computers, you know, you look out and say, go so-and-so. They had these printout cards, so they had, in the morning, they'd give out cards to everybody. They gave us cards out to Young's Lane, service line on fire, you know. So these old boys went to breakfast. In the meantime, two houses burned down. So we got sued. We had to pay the limits and everything. And Zap on one of the houses, a black fellow named Zap. We got to be pretty good friends during that lawsuit because he's a big baseball player under the Negro League. You know, he used to have that league. He was a big player. He had all these they did a write-up about him in the newspaper, and I sent him a copy of it. Zap was his name. Him and his wife were real nice people.
They had to stop for breakfast. Could have saved some money. Could have saved some money.
That's right. But you know, we hired the old fire marshal who'd been there for years. He's our expert witness. He said, no, ain't no way in the world that electricity traveled down that line with that connection they've got there because it's got a rubber thing in it. And so they had Francis Wales, Vanderbilt. Francis said, yeah, they were. Well, they won the lawsuit. And then 2 or 3 years later, the fire marshal called me and said, hey, he said, you know, I went to a seminar out here in Denver and they had a demonstration and they could do that. Jews could travel like that. So I said, okay. So from then on, never I got sued over electricity or fire lawsuit like that, I called the expert, the professor at Vanderbilt. Yeah, I used him from then on, man.
Nothing like a good expert.
That's right.
Tell us about the painting case.
Oh, Lord, well, the Hazen case. Well, come find out, they've been going on for years. We didn't know anything about it. Seems all these linemen, they hire new linemen. first thing they do, they go out and jerk his pants down and paint his butt red. So I got this letter from old Rocky McElhaney. I got this case. Unless you pay us $75,000, I'm going to go to press with it. Well, the dumb bites, he sent a copy to the press anyway, so didn't leave me much choice. So, and I got to investigating it, and they sued us. And what happened, they painted this boy, and he jumped up and held another one down while they painted him. And, but I got a break on. A little girl working in my office was dating this boy in the credit union. And this old boy, the boy sued us, got talking about he's gonna get a bunch of money from NES. And so we got to investigating it. We had a fixed camera of him going into the West Service Station, getting red paint. And he told him he painted himself, so he painted his butt red, and the TV put it on TV. Right, well, after that, I got all these calls, all these old linemen. That ain't our pay job. That ain't our pay job. That they sprayed up, so we sprayed down. And of course, it wasn't their pay job. Come find out, because he sued us and everything, So we won that part. Tried to pay him a little bit of workers' comp, but that was something for painting Casey, but he went home and painted himself, got the painted himself. Showed it on TV. Oh, and let me tell you this about while I was NES2 during that NASCAR Cafe case. Old Houston sued 62 employees for $10 million each, individually. So I went in Chancery Court, but he's gonna appeal it on that. But I got that out. I was a hero down there, 62 people, employees. That anybody had anything to do with it. So people that carried the transformer down there even.
Okay. Any other notable cases during your electric company tenure?
Well, we always used to get a lot of these, if a house burned down, I'd get a lot of these cases, where particularly travelers, insurance, they sued us for burn all these houses down. Well, I never lost to one of those because the law says that NES is only liable to the weatherhead. That's where it goes into the meter, and from our own, it's the customer. So nobody could ever prove it in my case. Well, one time we had this line down, we got sued and had to pay on this one out in North Nashville. They was working on this case. Well, this main line dropped down on the service line, went in this house. Well, it blew out every receptacle, blew out all the lights, blew out this TV. This old lady is in there watching TV, because, and come find out, heck, we had to pay that, because it run all that juice in there. We had to pay our rewiring that whole house. Man, that was something.
Okay. Now, when you were when you were with NES, you were, I believe, you were very instrumental in a couple organizations, the APPA.
Yes,
Which is what?
The American Public Power Association. Also, we're active in the Tennessee Valley Public Power Association, made of all the 60 municipalities and 21 the utility districts. I believe we got that right. And also the Tennessee Public Power Association, made of all the cities. So in fact, they gave me an award on the Tennessee Municipal Public Power Association, gave me an award and named it after me. I can't think what it's for now. They did. And I used to do make a lot of speeches, about Public Service Commission and everything, and NES.
And there was another, and the APPA also there was a group of APPA attorneys.
Yes, and they had this legal conference. And one year I was vice chairman of it in San Francisco, and next year in San Antonio, I was president of it. And when I got to go to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, like Williamsport, Virginia, Williamsburg, Virginia, make talks about it, and everything.
Okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because of your work with the Public Service Commission, you have your very own bridge.
Yeah, oh yeah, the bridge. The legislature in 1976 named bridge on mile marker 4 on Interstate 81, the Eugene Boulevard overpass. I have a lot of fun out of that. Still there, man.
Still there. And
on this November the 2nd, I'm getting the Frank Clement Award. It's the Frank Clement Museum and Railroad Museum in Dixon. They give me the Frank Clement Award.
And you knew Governor Clement pretty well, didn't you?
I was driving him a lot before he got killed. In fact, me and him and the Attorney General from Manchester, Buck Ramsey, and Tommy Walker, the Tennessee Municipal Fire Association chairman, the head of it, we all went to a funeral in Dresden, for Commissioner Pentecost's mother or father, I forget which. And we stopped at Ned McWhirter's beer distributor, had a reception. I'd never been to Old Boy from White Pine, East Tennessee, Baptist. We never been to a beer distributor for a reception after a funeral. Everybody there was drinking except me and the governor. He was getting ready to run, and I never did drink. So we left there, coming down the road, he said, Governor said, I want that song sung at my funeral. I said, what song is that, Governor? He said, that good old Methodist song there, Amazing Grace. But said, I must think I'm going to live forever. I don't even have a cemetery plot. That was on a Thursday. Next Thursday, I was going to his funeral. That's something. He was a good one, man. You could put him in the backseat of a car, hand him a speech. He'd look over it, drive him here to Murfreesboro. He'd get up and make it almost verbatim.
He was quite the orator, wasn't he?
Oh, Lord, he was. I got that book, The Eagles On, And he ended up all of his speeches. We'll get the elderly under this arm. We'll get the youth under this arm. We'll march onward and upward to a greater Tennessee, That's where it ended up. Lord, lead us on.
And was it in 56 that he gave the keynote address to
the Democratic National Convention, and he had made that speech, how long, oh, how long. So he told Lieutenant Jackson, Morris said, go down the stairs and get this newspaper, see what they said about my speech. It said, the governor, a little word on the front page, said the governor of Tennessee spoke for about 30 minutes last night, but it seemed a hell of a lot longer. But the governor, I drove to Marshtown one time to a reception of Walters and happened for the Supreme Court. And whenever George Shuff left the Public Service Commission, they didn't do no big search for a general counsel or that. I called Hub Walters on Friday. Well, on Monday, they come in there and told me you're the new general counsel. Because Mr. Hammer hired Frank Clement the first time he's right out of law school to be general counsel there. And you didn't say anything about Frank Clement, not Mr. Hammer. And he lived in McMinnville. And the bus left the trailways down here, left at 3 o'clock. Well, you had a hearing for the commission. Hell, you better be through by 3 o'clock or your hearing's over, because Black Ford is going to drive him down to the bus station. Of course, they weren't going to leave him off Mr. Hammer either. Yeah, Lord.
Things were different back then, didn't they?
Yeah, and Mr. Hammer ran for Congress in 1934. But Walters gave him $200. And that's why Hub Walters had in with them too. Lord. And another thing, I was telling you about driving the governor. You don't hear that about driving the governor to Marshtown. Well, we stopped in Knoxville, picked up Zane Daniel, one young lawyer there. He's a assistant DA. So he had lined up, me and him going out with these two girls. We're going to come back and ditch the governor. We were going out with these two girls. So went to Marshtown, come back, come to the 52 Club or on Asheville Highway. The governor told Zane, said, young man, said, why don't you go in there and get us a 6-pack of beer? He went in about that time. Here come every cop car in Knox County. They raided the joint. Oh, Lord, the governor said, you reckon our young friend's all right? I said, oh, he's fine. Exactly, here come old Zane out, carrying a 6-pack of beer, high-fiving all the cops and everything, you know. The governor said, young man, we were concerned about you. He said, oh, it'd be a hell of a day if the attorney general couldn't get a drink in this town. But we went down there, got checked in Holiday Inn on Asheville Highway. The governor went in his rooms and come in, let's talk. He took off all his clothes except his shorts, his boxers, had them strode everywhere. He talked. We looked at our watch. He kept talking. That time going on. Finally, about 10:30 or something, he said, Gene, go down here at Burleton, get us another 6-pack of beer and bring a potato chips. So I did. I come back. He had clothes everywhere. I set the beer down on the floor, and I couldn't find anywhere to set the potato chips. So I laid them on the get-in Bible. That was a bad mistake. He talked for 30 minutes about why you never lay nothing on the Bible. So at 12 o'clock, he looked at his watch right at 12 o'clock. All I knew, looked at it and said, well, it's midnight. Y'all got to leave. I got to get some sleep. We left too late.
Okay.
But he always said, just call me Frank.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else from your NES days?
Well, I first went there. They didn't know what was going on across the highway down across the interstate. They had their whole head stuck in the sand. Every time I said, well, why'd you do it that way? It was wrong. Even that, I had to straighten them out. They said a lady couldn't get credit, you know, credit for her credit, you know, like a husband could, no. I said, yes, they can. And so I had to straighten that out. And also the Veterans Reemployment Act. They go, oh, that boy, he left, we're firing him, we're replacing him. I said, listen, you got to give him his job back. So I asked him, I said, why do you do it that way? Well, that's the way we've been doing it 30 years. So I called it the 30-year rule. But we saying we got things straightened out there. That's some pretty good manager there. Cadero was a character. He's from New York. He hardly spoke to the people, but he's a pretty good administrator. He wanted to sell the thing, you know. That was bad. That wouldn't work. The first thing he come in, he wanted to know from me, he said, I'm president and CEO now. I want you to get me made the chairman of the board. I said, you can't be the chairman of the board. This is not a private company. This is the government. I said, you work for the board just like I do, you know. I never told a fellow no so many times in my life. But he came from private industry, didn't come from government industry, you know. Made a difference. But he's pretty good. He helped me expand my law, practicing the law department down there because He's been sued so many times, he appreciates a good lawyer.
Okay, let's go back. I believe that you did not get married for a while.
Uh,
You were a little bit older before you were a little bit older before you got married. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, I was in school. No, I know, I got married not 13 years ago. Been married then 33 years. My
But you-
wife died in 2006, and 2010, I married Jeannie Seeley, the Grand Ole Opry. She's been there 56 years, and tonight will make her 5,320th appearance more than anybody in the history of the world to perform on that Opry stage.
That's something.
Meant to bring you a CD from her, and I forgot it, and I forgot all that stuff.
So that, you were, first time you were married was when?
1956, I think.
Okay, and, did you have any children?
I got one. I married this one guy in 1967. I got one born 68, yeah. But I got two grandsons that I raised because I had a stepdaughter and had these boys 14 and 7, and she died of aneurysm. So we raised those kids. In fact, we went to court, got custody of the 7-year-old. Daddy was horse's ass, and that was his minor qualities. So we got custody of them. My grandparents got custody of the grandkids.
That was kind of cutting edge law at the time, was it not?
Sure was, sure was.
So y'all established grandparent custody.
Yeah, sure it is. It's proved it can be done.
Okay. Now I believe you mentioned earlier you have small practice and you represented a lot of the country music people.
Yeah,
And then you have Webb Pierce, Gene
Yeah.
Shepherd.
Aaron Young, Les Brazil, Ernest Tubb, Charlie Leuven, yeah. And Webb, he wrecked one time going home, he wrecked twice in 2 blocks.
You didn't know Jeannie back then.
No, I knew of her, I didn't met her. So I met her and I cut her tree down.
As I understand, you met her during the ice storm, didn't you?
No, the met her there, as after that, she had this big tree in her yard, she cut down. Nobody touched it because it's too close to the line. And ES went out and looked at it, was not bothered us, we're not gonna cut it down. So she had Carolyn McCoy call me. Carolyn says over $5 million, I do. And so she called me and I sent a crew out and cut her tree down, and she invited me and my wife to a breakfast show she had at Opryland Hotel. That's how I got to know her.
Okay. And I believe during your career, during your life, you were very big in the JCs.
Oh, yeah, I was the state vice president and the state general legal counsel and ran for president. You know, I was running in 68, you know, we had the conventions, old Andrew Jackson Hotel. My people down there putting up signs, Ward for president. Well, this black usher there, you know, or utility worker, told my people, said, you know, said, that Ward may be a good man, but he can't beat that Bobby Kennedy. And it was, yeah, on JC, I'm the only person in history to have three key men awards. Yeah.
And I believe you're a Mason and a Shriner.
Yeah. I went to Toastmasters once. I went in, they assigned me to make a speech, and I won, got a trophy, so I never went back.
Never went back. tell us during your career, what bar association you were affiliated with, I presume several legal associations.
Yeah, the Federal Bar Association, the Tennessee Bar Association, Nashville Bar Association, and the Hamilton County Bar Association. And I was also Tennessee Colonel, Arkansas, Alabama Colonel, Kentucky Colonel, and an Arkansas Traveler. I was inducted into the Lincoln Memorial University Professional Hall of Fame. And this week, my wife, we're going up next week, Friday. She's entertaining my donators to the university, Lincoln Memorial University, because they gave her, I graduated in '56. They gave her honorary doctorate of law, doctorate of arts degree in 2019. So everybody goes by and look at that yearbook. I think I married a real young chick. I'm not going to tell me a different either.
No. And did you serve in the military at all?
No,
Student deferment.
yeah, too young.
Not opposed, too young for World War II. And
Yeah. Went to college during the Korean War. I took 4F. I couldn't pass it. I was sick all my life when I was real young. I haven't been forever, and I just turned 91 last week.
okay. And
And I was trying to get Hooters to cater it, but they wanted to bring food, so I canceled that.
canceled that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm also in the Tennessee Independent Colleges and Universities Hall of Fame. And Pat Boone went in the same year. He's representing Belmont. I mean, not Belmont. The other one, Lipscomb. And I was representing LMU.
Okay.
What is that?
That's good. As everybody gets, they're testing the emergency warning system. Yeah, you're getting it too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Everybody is.
Wait, well, wait.
You turned yours off though.
I saw what this little tab. Oh, wait. Oh, that's required for the public.
Yeah.
I guess that's late.
Okay, I want to go back and touch on something I remember listening to, in your story, your life story. I know we said earlier, you grew up poor,
Yeah,
didn't know any different.
that's right.
And,
So I was 12 years old I knew my middle name wasn't Get Wood.
okay, and I believe, you were you were playing baseball, football, whatever, and you went there, you were playing, there was a young black boy that was on your team. You went to lunch one day.
Oh, that was during the summer, and I was working in high school. And this black boy, Herman Stewart, we baled hay together. You know, I rode one of those bales, you pull a bale, you know, and put a tractor pulled in. I was sitting on this side pushing the wires through, and he's sitting on the other side tying them. And we went to a cafe, or a little restaurant there in White Pine. I just go in and get us something, get us a burger. Got paid on Saturday afternoon, you know, we just worked half a day on Saturday. And he said, I can't, I got to go around to the back. And that's the first time I really realized, you know, what about segregation, because we played baseball together, run around together, done everything together until then. You know, I knew they had little white elementary school right behind it. And the high schooler went to Jefferson City. But I just dawned on me then, that's when it really hit me. That's the first time in 1952 or something like that.
Okay. Now, currently, okay, you retired from NES in 2010, correct?
Yes,
So you've been retired for the last 13 years.
yeah, and they told me to retire to life expectancy of an NES employee is 11 years, so I'll beat them.
Okay. What kind, and are you working, what kind of projects have you been involved in since you retired?
Well, since I retired, my wife's an entertainer, so I'm gonna go with her. She goes to work and I go with her. You've heard of people, go-getters, or I go right, and I go get her, I go with her.
You go with,
Yeah.
got it, okay. And, who would you say, going back, who would you say had the biggest influences on your career?
Well, and a lot of them are, Hal Inman in Morristown was one. You know, he served as commissioner of conservation, I believe, for Dunn. He was one of the real smartest ones because I just started out practicing. I got this call, this guy's barn burned down, and the Farm Bureau would not pay him because his premium had lapsed, his policy had lapsed, hadn't paid his premium. So I got Judge Inman to negotiate with me. I got in the books, I had to get the books in, and I found an old case in Greenville. John Armstrong handled it. And the Farm Bureau has a lien on your property. So therefore, if you don't pay your premium on time, they can collect on it. So the court held that you cannot deny coverage on that basis. And we won that case. And the good one, the fire. I remember that.
Okay.
Worst case ever has against a preacher. The automobile wrecked a rear ender. The judge said, "Oh, hell for the preacher." The judge said, "Preacher don't lie." I said, "That one died, did." So I got it. So then I got to be more prepared for preachers.
Okay. Let's see. Any awards that you've received? I know you're getting the Frank Clement Award
Yeah.
in your future. Any awards you got through your career?
Oh God, in the JCs, I got all these plaques and everything. Okay, you got a wall not big enough for them. I got all them every time I go to install JC chapters, I get it. And I've got all kinds of plaques and awards, everything, and a rope, reunion professional entertainers. I represented them. They gave me an award. Well, I got a lifetime achievement award from Dawson Hermitage Chamber of Commerce, and I also am a lifetime member of the board of directors, and I'm president of the Dawson Hermitage Chamber.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we skipped over? Any significant cases?
But I tell you what, they tease you once. Elementary school, make fun of you, because you don't have parents. Kids are cruel like that. But we got in the 8th grade, all that stopped because my brother, he whipped the bully in the high school whenever he was in the 8th grade. So I didn't have to worry about anything after that. I did sort of like what to do then.
Okay. Okay, well, tell me that if What would be your advice to young people considering entering the legal profession?
Take English and learn how to write remember that the most important thing is not for how you answer the question. The most important thing is where you can identify the issues, different aspects of law is, don't memorize the law because the legislature will meet and repeal everything you know overnight. And they will.
Okay,
We're talking about little Ray Clement, Ray Jenkins, and Dr. Perry, said that 2 they're not going to be here. Well, he taught this class. So here he went in the room, saw little Ray coming down the hall, so he run in the classroom and locked the door. It was on the first floor, the windows up there in the part of spring or fall. And little Ray went around and climbed in the window. The professor said, well, guess I'll just have to close that one the next time.
okay. Are there any particular attorneys that you got good guidance from?
Yes. Cecil Branstetter was one of them. And David Keeble, Harlan Dodson. Oh, I was a senior, And I first came, Jimmy Bass. I first came here in '61. I got a lesson in law real quick because I had to go against these people like Clarence Evans and Walter Harwood and all them people, do what they're doing. David Keeble, represents the railroad. And Tyree Harris represented somebody. And tried cases for those. And man, they'll teach you the law real quick. But Cecil Branstetter is one. And A.O. Buck. And Ted Pappas is another one, in Bassbury and Selm. But there's a lot of fellows there that specialize. Oh, and talk about Frank Clement. Pardon me, I got something. I sent him the biggest case he ever had. Herbie Jenkins came to me one time in '66 or '67. Said, I've got this client. They want to come into Tennessee. They want to deliver small packages all over Tennessee to the whole United States. And said, I cannot find a lawyer. I said, I don't know anything about motor carrier law. And every lawyer I find that knows anything about it, they're already on the other side. They're protesting it. I thought about it. I said, well, there's one that's not. Frank Clement used to be general counsel here. So he took off and got Frank. And the governor come in, he made $25,000. That wasn't bad in '66. The governor came in, him and Grant Smith were practicing law together then. Governor came in, with the first witness on the stand, went down, sat in my office in my chair the rest of the week, while the case was going on. In fact, one of my secretaries went downstairs, got me a hot chocolate, brought it up there. Well, he drank my hot chocolate. I wasn't there, so he drank my hot chocolate. And, but I ran for president of NCJCs. He gave me $250 check. That's pretty good in 1968 too. And that's how I got to be real good friends with Governor Frank Clement.
Okay, any particular attorneys you think are particularly outstanding?
Oh, Harvey Harwell and Roy and James Neal and of course Jimmy Bass and Cecil Branstetter and I'm like, yeah, well,
You knew General Butler, didn't you?
yeah, old General, he was a character. Old General, you get over in the corner, you know, listen to this will be live. I was the jury. Yeah, yeah, General. General flew the plane all the way in here one time from Hawaii. The old Pentecost and all of them looking out the windows and man, how much further we gotta go? We can't make it. He said, we got a tailwind, we're gonna make it. So he flew it all the way in here. To the airport out here, they say. He's a character.
Okay, well, Mr. Ward, we appreciate your time and your memory and your advice. And in conclusion, would you please give us your motto of life?
Okay, illegitimate, non-carborundum S. Latin means don't let the bastards wear you down.
Good advice for anybody in any field.
That's right.
Thank you for your time. And thank you for your time today. And we look forward to seeing the completed product.
Okay, all right.